Alright, I got the good news, or bad news, but I found the problem. Alright, welcome back to Everyday Race. Today I'm going to be tearing down this 2.7 liter V6 twin turbo EcoBoost engine. Now this engine used to be in 2018 Ford F-150, and at 91,000 miles the engine started running on 5 cylinders instead of 6, so it was lacking power. Previous owner of this engine took his truck to the dealership. They took the valve cover off. I don't know why. They did a compression test or whatever. They found out that cylinder number 6 didn't have any compression, and the best thing to do would be to replace the whole engine instead of fixing it. So they put a new engine in previous owner's truck and gave him back his old engine along with the box of parts, and he posted up for sale, and I was lucky enough to pick it up. So today I get to take it apart. I also get to weigh it, measure it, see what it's all about, look around and see what I like and see what I don't like. So let's get to it. Alright, so the main goal is to get to the combustion chamber number 6 to see exactly what broke. For that I got to remove the cylinder head, but before that I have to remove a bunch of components such as EGR cooler, EGR tube. Unfortunately, EGR cooler wouldn't come out of the water pump, so I've decided to remove the water pump, and EGR cooler is one component. The water pump is connected to the timing cover with a bunch of bolts. So here we go. Alright, so first disappointed of this engine was seeing a plastic water pump impeller. It's a terrible design. Over time, it'll crack and break apart. So that was crappy. But anyways, let's continue with removing the serpentine belt, idler pulley, and serpentine belt tensioner, since they're connected to the timing cover. Alright, next I'm going to remove a bunch of bolts that hold the valve cover to the cylinder head and see, maybe might get lucky and it's something simple that broke inside the cylinder head. Would be easy to repair. Let's find out. Alright, so it's been a while, but I have yet to see a clean engine like that with over 90,000 miles in a long time. And it looks like the previous owner been changing oil probably every 3,000 or 5,000 miles, not 10,000 miles like Ford wants everybody to do. So that was a surprise. Alright, next I'm going to remove the turbocharger, but first I have to remove the oil drain, oil feed for the turbocharger, and coolant lines. and the turbo can come out. And the turbocharger was actually in pretty good shape, didn't have a lot of play, so I'm probably going to reuse it. But next I have to remove the vacuum pump located on the driver's side, back of the cylinder head. A vacuum pump provides vacuum for things such as a brake booster. Now, vacuum pump was actually in very good shape. When I spun it, created a lot of vacuum. So it's a part that's going to get reused. Alright, so next I'm going to remove high pressure fuel pump located on the back of the passenger side cylinder head. It provides fuel for direct port injectors. Alright, next I'm going to remove front timing cover. The reason it has to come out because first of all it connects to the cylinder head, so you can't remove the cylinder head with the timing cover connected to it. Second is behind the timing cover there are timing chains that have to come out because they connect the camshafts located in the cylinder heads to the crankshaft located in the engine block. So let's get, that one was pretty tight. Alright, timing cover also connected to the plastic oil pan, so there are bolts that need to come out. And next, I was expecting for the timing cover to be stuck to the engine and put up a fight, but this was actually not bad at all. And as you can see, it's very, very clean. Alright, so far everything looks okay. Everything looks okay. The chain is in good shape. No abnormal colors. We got the cast iron block here. We got aluminum head here. We got a aluminum part here. But what the hell is this? This is a rubber belt. It's an oily rubber belt. I guess it's driving a oil pump. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like all that. Once I take it apart, we'll see what condition it is. But it must be some special rubber, because the rubber I know usually gets destroyed by the oil. So, alright, let's continue. Next step is to remove all the timing chains. I'm not going to remove the sprockets just yet. And disconnect the crankshaft from the camshafts. And then we get to pull the camshafts and remove the troubled cylinder head, would be this one, and see what's inside. Alright, so first the timing chain tensioners have to come out. They apply pressure to the guides. That's what keeps the chain tight. So they were in pretty good shape, both of them. Timing chain guides, that's what the black part right here, that's what the chain slides on, had no wear whatsoever. I mean, it's amazing. Over 90,000 miles, and it's something that can be reused. Probably not recommended. So let's get all this stuff out of the way and get the chains out. That's the next. I'm going to remove the oil pump belt, that rubber thing, but not so fast. Couldn't get it out because there is a guard built in the oil pan. So that's going to be a surprise for future mechanics. They could have made this so much easier, that you could change the oil pump belt by just removing the timing cover, but nope, gotta remove the oil pan. Anyways, next it's time to move all the camshaft caps to free up all the cams and get them removed, because the cylinder head bolts are hidden by cams. Okay, we got 6JKZA-C20, good condition. Okay, this one's GJKZAC5E8 26.9BA FOMC. And this is exhaust. Oh, look at this. Look what I found. I found the freaking keys. inside the cylinder head. Wow. 15 mil. Alright, so next I'm going to remove all the cylinder head bolts and try to remove the cylinder head and see what we got there. Come on now. Almost looks like a ARP bolt. Alright, and now it's time to remove the cylinder head and see exactly what's going on. Alright, here we go. Let's get a closer view. Obviously, we can see that the color of a number 6 cylinder, where the problem was, is different. And I don't see anything broken. So this color tells me that the engine wasn't getting as much fuel, so it could be a fuel injector problem. Let's remove the head gasket. Nothing is blown. Huh. Alright, next let's spin the engine. See if we can see any damage. I don't see any damage. Alright, I got the good news, or bad news, but I found the problem. Look at that, I've never seen anything like that. The valve just got a big old hole. Looks like this one was getting kind of hot. But yeah, I don't see any damage to the combustion chamber, so I guess it went straight to the exhaust. Nothing's here, and nothing is here. I don't think there's a need to remove the other cylinder head. The other The other side of the engine's probably fine. But yeah, let me see if I can spray some, well, I guess I can't. Spray some brake clean in the intake and see if they're leaking or not. So anyways, I just sprayed the brake cleaner in the intake ports, which would be these valves, and you can see middle cylinder is fine. Cylinder number, what is it, number 4. The valve is all wet, so it needs a valve job on this one. And both of the valves on this cylinder is just, I mean, they're just gone. So might have to pull the other cylinder head and take it to the machine shop and get the valve job done on everything. But yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles. Well, since the valves were leaking on the driver's side cylinder head, I've decided to go ahead and remove the passenger side cylinder head and check, make sure the valves weren't leaking on that one. So time to do the same thing. Remove the cam caps, remove the camshafts, remove the cylinder head bolts, and remove the cylinder head itself. Okay, the exhaust cam is marked N65PA D7 268BA Fomico. All the journals look okay. No excessive wear. Alright, so next I'm going to remove all the cylinder head bolts and remove the cylinder head and see what we got there. Alright, so let's look at the head gasket. It looks perfectly fine. These guys are kind of a pain. Those bastards. Okay. Alright, so let's look at the pistons. These have some dirt on them. Some carbon. Cylinder 1 looks fine, no damage. Cylinder 2 looks the same. And cylinder 3. Besides some dust, there's no damage. So all look the same. Cylinders are about the same, so I'm pretty sure these are good. Alright, now let's look at each cylinder. This is the cylinder number 1. You just got some carbon. I don't see any damage. Cylinder number 2. That's the one that didn't really have as much compression. It looks fine physically. And cylinder number 3. They all look great. But will they pass the brake cleaner test? So next I'm going to spray brake cleaner in each intake port, and we'll see if the intake ports hold. Alright, so next is the brake clean test. I'm going to spray in each cylinder, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to see if any of the valves are leaking. Cylinder 1. Cylinder 2. Cylinder 3. Now what we got? Okay, I'm seeing some leakage over there. Let's give it some more brake clean juice. 1, 2, 3. Now let's get real close and see what we can find. Cylinder 1 looks to be dry. Cylinder 2, the valve on the left, upper left corner, is getting wet. That means it's leaking. Cylinder number 3 is all good. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the head back to make sure the brake clean gets to every position of the valve. So let's see. All right, let's wait about a few minutes. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Okay, cylinder 1, all good. Cylinder 2, wet. Cylinder 3, just fine. Alright, so next I'm going to drain all the brake cleaner from the intake valves. Then I'm going to let it sit for 10 minutes to dry up. And I'm going to flip the head and we're going to do the same thing on the exhaust side. I'm not sure how good it's going to be because, well, you know. There's only one exhaust outlet, so I'm gonna have to maybe put it like this sideways, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Let it drain for a bit. Alright, next let's try doing the same test on the exhaust. So first let's take a look at it. Cylinder 1, 2, 3, that's their condition. Alright, we'll try my best. Can't promise anything. Alright, brake clean. Going in. Okay, now I'm gonna switch it around. Switch it around. Yeah, switch it around. Now we're gonna put it on the bottom and let's see what happens. Alright, so make sure we start. This is the cylinder number 1. Everything nice and dandy. Actually, never mind. Never mind. I think I see a small, very small amount of wetness is right here. And then this valve is good. Okay, cylinder number 2. Right there. It's getting wet. A lot better than the first cylinder. And this valve is fine. Let's go to cylinder number 3. And I see slight wetness. Slight, very slight right there. So it's going to need a valve job on all the valves, because it wouldn't make any sense to just get a valve job on a couple of valves. So, all right, let's move to the next test. All right, so next I'm going to flip the engine over and make a huge mess. Remove the oil pan and let's see what we can find in the oil pan. All right, so nothing, no bearings. I don't know if you can see. It looks like a plastic oil pan. Alright, well, that's the good news. Let's look at this monster. Alright. Keep that in there. We're going to get to this oil pump drive. Okay. Everything looks good. Everything looks good. No metal shavings, no nothing. Everything is awesome. Alright. Now we get to the silly part. This is a rubber belt that sits in the oil. It's oil lubricated and it drives the oil pump. Oil pump is like a heart of the engine. It pumps, keeps pumping oil through the engine. When that part stops working, your engine becomes useless within a few minutes. So let's look at this. Some people say it's just fine. So, but let's take a look at it. It feels weird. So let me dry it up real quick. Alright, now let's take a real good look at it. 91,000 mile engine. Look at this. Can you see it? Oh, there you go. There's a better view. Right in here. This is a 91,000 mile oil pump belt. It's supposed to be Kevlar. So it looks good on this side. But this side is all cracked. Now what does that mean? Well, that means this belt could probably go another 50 to 100,000 miles. It's strong enough because it's still pretty strong on the part that drives everything well. Let's see. Yeah, it looks to be pretty strong. The problem with this belt that I see is that the exterior of the belt, the black part, the 1894125 JT4E something something, this part will crack and it'll start getting peeled, and all this trash will end up where? It will end up in this pickup. And this pickup is like a pre-filter for the oil pump. Once this thing gets clogged up with the exterior parts of this belt, then the pump will not be getting any oil, and then you'll have the exact same problem. The oil pump will be spinning, but there won't be any oil pumping through the engine, and you'll have a dead engine. So alright, so I've decided to pull the bad valve. Now on the second thought, I'm going to remove one intake valve, and I'm going to remove one other exhaust valve that hasn't broke, to see if there are any cracks. Like on this one, there are cracks where it hasn't broke yet, but there is definitely some cracks. So I want to see what the unbroken valves look like, and if all the valves are junk. So let's get party started. Let's get this sucker. Get one more time. Okay, I got one keeper out of there. Let's get the second one out of there. There's the valve, keeper, and retainer. Put it together. And now let's go for the intake valve. Oh, first try. First try. Alright, this is an intake. Exhaust. Alright, so let's pull the valves. Intake. And exhaust. Alright, so first let's look at the damage intake valve. There we go. Come on now. Alright, as you can see, there's a piece missing, and there are also cracks all over the place. That means it wasn't done breaking off. Now let's look at the valve that was right next to it. That was had that funny discoloration. Let me clean it up. Okay. This valve actually looks fine. No cracks, nothing, no carbon. I guess the multi-port injection kind of helps with that. But this valve, besides this funky discoloration on the corner, looks pretty good. Now let's look at the intake valve. This valve feels different, like it's made out of different material. Let me clean it real quick. Alright. The intake valve that was sipping in cylinder number, I guess that was cylinder number 4. It actually looks pretty good. No carbon. No nothing. And no visible damage, and as you can see, it's got a different shape than the exhaust valve. Let me compare it between the two. Now what I'm looking at is the shape. See how this one's like this and this one's more flat. And another thing, it almost feels like the exhaust valve is heavier. So let me bring my scale, and I wanna see what they're made out of. All right. First, let's do the intake valve. Okay. Get real close to that. 1.5 ounces. Now let's look at the exhaust valve. Ooh. 1.4 ounces. So I was wrong. I don't know, for some reason. Look at that. Definitely different material. Because the intake valves are longer. And they're bigger. But they only weigh 0.1 of an ounce more. So I googled last night, and I found that Ecoboost had problems breaking the intake valves, so the Ford had to change them. They didn't say anything about the 2.7 liter. They said they were talking about 3.5 liters, so they had to change the metal material of the intake valve, and I guess they forgot to change it on the exhaust valve. But yeah, so alright. Alright, so let's get to the conclusion. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So the good. The bottom end of a 2.7 liter is built very strong. It's built out of cast iron, and the cylinders are actually, I call them hybrids. There's a open deck design, which was in a 1.6 Ecoboost that I tore down a couple of weeks ago. Here's a picture, and as you can see, the open deck would have all that room opened for the coolant to take the heat from the cylinder. It's a very good design. It cools the engine very quickly due to the largest surface area. Unfortunately, the downside of open deck design is that it's not very strong. The cylinders would move around under higher boost, so it's not very good for modified engines. This, on the other hand, is not made out of aluminum, made out of cast iron, so that right there is already stronger. But then the Ford went kind of even better. This is actually open deck design with new technology. I've never seen a block like that before. See, the block is connected by these pieces of cast iron. Well, they don't go all the way down like the old school Chevy 350. Let me show you. They're just at the very top. Boom. See? So the coolant is cooling off just about almost as good as an open deck design, but it adds more strength with this design. So about pretty much like that. So the bottom end is good. The second good thing, the timing components, which were troublesome on 3.5 Ecoboost. Let me see if I can get you a better view. But the guides that came out of this engine they're like brand new. I kid you not. Like brand stinking new. I wouldn't hesitate to put them back in the engine and run them for another 150,000 miles. No problem. So, let's see. Another good thing is that there was not a whole lot of wear on the camshafts, on the timing cover, fuel pump. Everything looked good. Chains looked good. Everything looked good. So no complaints there. The turbos didn't have much play. So they're still reusable. Probably good for another 100,000 miles. So let's get to the bad. The bad, well, first bad thing. Let me show you. The crank position sensor. Here's the crank position sensor right in here. And it reads off a ring that's at the back of the engine. So I'm not sure if it's a good design. All I know is that if you need to replace this sensor, the cylinder head goes right here, and then you got the intake manifold, then you got the transmission, and then you got the firewall off the truck. So it's kind of a crappy place to put the crank position sensor. Then you have a starter right here, not too far away, and starter, you don't want to have any crank position sensor near a starter. There were so many better places to put the crank position sensor. Maybe on this side, somewhere lower, that way you can get to it and replace it, you know, from underneath the car. This way it's not very easy to replace from the top of the truck nor from the bottom of the truck. So it's kind of an asinine design. Second bad thing, the water pump. Haven't we learned from German engineering in the early 2000s, like that they put the plastic impellers on the water pumps and they eventually crack and go in the engine, and the engine would overheat, and all the aftermarket pumps would come with the steel impellers. Steel, even aluminum, is way better. This thing will fail and you will not know. Your engine will start overheating. You're thinking your radiator's bad or thermostat's bad, but all along it's going to be the water pump. I see that failing probably around 200,000 miles. What else? What else? Oh, the belt. The oil pump drive belt. I'm not a big fan. I wouldn't feel comfortable having this thing in the bottom of the engine, driving the heart off my engine. So this problem will probably go away. There's got to be an aftermarket company that's gonna sell a small chain with 2 sprockets that's gonna replace this, because this is just I don't know, not a good idea in my personal opinion. So, and then let's get to the ugly, the valves. Whatever material they made these valves, don't do it anymore, because this is not normal. This is not normal for the valve to come apart like that. So definitely, it's definitely fixable. Aftermarket, probably gonna come up with a better design valve with a different metal. It's gonna take a lot more heat and it will not crack apart. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I give this engine, this 2.7 EcoBoost, solid 8.5. Would I buy a truck with one in it? Yeah, I probably would, but I would do some work to take care of the things such as water pump and that stupid oil pump rubber belt. I'd get rid of those 2 components, replace them with something better, and I just hope the crank position sensor never fails. Oh, and the oil pan. Oil pan apparently is a one-time use only, because the pickup is not separated. So once your pickup tube gets clogged up, it's junk. So aftermarket, are you listening? Come up with the aluminum oil pan, and you're gonna sell them like hotcakes, because I think this engine's gonna be kind of a hot rod, like a small hot rod, like a 350 Chevy. The 3.5 EcoBoost is going to end up being like a 454 Chevy. So this is perfect for a daily driver, good gas mileage, and you could have a lot of power. So that's going to be it for today. I've made a mess. Time to clean all this mess up and see if I can find another engine. So if you guys enjoyed this, if you have any opinions, please go ahead and put it in the comment section. I'd love to read it. Yeah, I'd love to hear other people's feedback. So thank you for watching, and have a good day.